Here again, we're at the home page, and we're going to continuing our efforts to deal with contacts. And this lesson is going to deal with importing contacts from a file on your computer. So the first thing we've done is we've gone to contacts and we've gone to import contacts from a file on the computer. And we're presented with a list of all of our contact lists. Now, if you have not or are not going to add to an existing contact list and you wanted to create a new and unique contact list for this particular upload, you're going to have to go back to contact list and go back to create a contact list and view that video if you're not sure how to do that, because you've got to have the contact list existing before you start your upload. Now in this particular case, we're going to go back and start continuing to use the Adams County Realtors, and we're going to say, okay, fine, we want to upload these new listings or these new contacts into the Adams County Realtor list, and then we're going to hit next. When we hit next, we come to a number of choices that are presented to us, and these are going to be the criteria that are going to define how the data is going to appear in your SQL database or in your contact list. Now, we have this thing marked as confirmed and unconfirmed. Again, let's discuss that for just a minute. A confirmed contact is one that has gone through a double opt-in process. A double opt-in process is where the person is sent an email. By them opening the email, they have the first contact or the first opt-in. Then inside the email is another link that they click on. They click on that link, and when they click on that link, the email is sent back to them to confirm that they have opted in. So in other words, there is a double opt-in, and the confirmed status of any contact means that they've gone through that. And that's important because if you ever get challenged on how and why you're using a particular contact, and you cannot show that they confirmed on such and such a day and through such and such a website, you may have some problems with that. The next thing down is the HTML situation. The HTML is the type of code that you write your email in. You have a choice of writing it in either text or HTML. HTML is the thing that you want to be on. It's the up-and-coming thing, and it's a thing that everybody uses. Overwrite existing details. What this means is if you're uploading into an existing database and among your contacts that you're uploading is a contact that is duplicated in that database, do you want to overwrite the data you already have with the data you're putting in? If you have a contiguous contact list that you develop, say, in Excel, and you just continually update at that location, when you upload, you do want to overwrite, so you would want to check mark that particular checkbox. Autoresponders. Yes, adds contacts to autoresponders. If you check this list, it will do that. There is an explanation again here as to exactly what that means. We'll get to that when we get to autoresponders, but suffice it to say that this will add it to autoresponders as well. These file headers that they're talking about are the file headers that we've talked about many times. Do we want the file to contain those headers or not? I always have it contain those headers so I know what they are should I look at the file in SQL. However, you may never go there, so it may not be important to you. So that's kind of an optional question if you want to do it or not. The field separator, this is to indicate how you have packed your data. If it's a CSV file, that is a comma-separated variable, and so you want the comma in there. There are other things that you can put in there, such as a space. That's kind of hard to see, but you can put it in there if you have a space delineated or a separated variable set. The field enclosure I leave blank. It's unimportant to you, and I'm not going to confuse you by explaining to you what it is because you're not going to use it. Now it says upload file from my computer. You have a choice of uploading a file from your computer or from a website. And I want you to keep in mind when you upload, you have a maximum size of 64 megabytes. That's a pretty huge file when you're talking about a data file. But I want you to always check to make sure, because what happens is I have people call me and say, I can't upload this file. I don't know why. And the one thing that is always overlooked in that discussion was, well, how big was the file to start with? If the file is too big to upload, this will not allow it to upload from the very get-go. If I'm going to browse my computer, I'm going to go back here to my computer, and I'm going to go through my computer, and I'm going to find a file that has my contacts in it. And that's going to be an Excel file, and it's going to be a file that is set up to transfer that type of data. I don't have one just offhand to show you here, but what I would do would be to check that file, which this is an Excel file, and I would open that file, and that file will appear down here. Now, should that have been a real contacts file, it would tell me how many pieces of information are in that file, and I would have to categorize them like this. This is going to be the email address. We know by default that if there's no other data in that contact list, there's got to be an email address. If there's not an email address in that file, the computer's not going to upload it because of the fact that this is an email program and the email address is the heart of that contact. When we get that particular setup, and this may, by the way, be a very long list. It depends on how many columns you have. First name, last name, they'll all appear here, and they've all got to be set to a particular position in there. In other words, in this particular case, you see all of these that are available. They're even on a slide. You could put those in the order that you put them in here is the order that they're going to appear when you view your contact. Remember, I showed you when you view a contact how you see those head markings, name, first name, last name, address, city, state, zip code. The order that you would put those in here is the order that you would see them on that spreadsheet or on that demonstration there. So we're going to hit next here because we've done all we need to do here, and it's going to allow us to start importing. Now, obviously, I'm not going to import because I don't want to import anything to that file. But on the other hand, I just wanted to show you that this is where you come to. So when you start importing, you're going to get well, let's go ahead and do that. You're going to get this particular type of thing, and it's going to bring you back to this report. And this report is going to show that in this particular file, there was 156 contacts, then they all contain bad data. It's going to go looking at each element. It's just not the email address. It's going to look at each element, each field, if you will. In other words, their first name, their last name. And if the typing is incorrect, if the form is incorrect, it's going to come back, and it's not going to allow that particular element to be uploaded. Now, the only way that you can go back and correct these is to compare the list. So what I recommend is to be very, very careful when you create the list, and create the list fairly broad and open-ended. If you're going to create a drop-down box for particular items, make sure that that drop-down box is mimicked exactly in Excel, so that when you bring it over, you can reconstruct that field. Remember, we created fields when we created the contact list as a picked list. So in this particular case, there were 156 contacts that contained bad data. But if you notice, we imported nothing because that's the first line. It would, if we allowed to overwrite, it would have shown us how many they did overwrite and update. It shows us how many of the contacts that we had in our contact list were duplicates of contacts that were already in that list. And contacts that are unsubscribed, if there were any that had unsubscribed before, either in this contact list or any other contact list, it would show us that they had unsubscribed and how many of those there were. It would show us how many names had been suppressed from joining the list, either from some action that we took, and we're going to get into that later, or some action that the program took. And again, the 156 that contain bad data, if you need more information on it, you can click here, and it will give you a report. Now, the thing about it is I really do not expect anything to come in this report because of the fact that we didn't really use a contact list. We used a data file. And so consequently, but anytime that there is a number in any one of these, you're always going to get this ability to click, and it's going to give you reasons, and it's going to give you lists of information that tell you what happened. And the last one, 0 contacts that were not imported successfully. Or I'm sorry, so when you have a contact that for whatever reason just couldn't make the grade, that's going to give you that. And again, you'll have this particular explanation right at the end of the line. So that pretty much concludes the lesson on importing contacts. Hopefully this will help you along the way. If you have any additional questions, go to the help menu, submit a worksheet. Someone from our organization will contact you, and they will do so by email unless you provide us with a phone number, and then we'll contact you by phone. Good luck to you in the use of our program. Look forward to your success. Make it a great day.